Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. And on today's show, should Southampton be booted out of the Championship playoffs? We discuss the new financial rules in the second tier and we give our correct score predictions for the playoff final. Hello guys, welcome back to the Sportsman Untitled, brought to you by Betfred. We've got our playoff final preview to bring you today, and I'm joined by Callum Fowler and Oli Mann, our experts for the biggest game of the season, guys. How are we feeling? We excited?
Experts at losing in playoff finals. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, no one loses in a playoff final better than we do. Obviously, last season's suffering still fresh in my mind, but always excited. Watching these games as a neutral, it's the best game of the season, isn't it? Obviously, if this one goes ahead, but I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a great game.
Well, that's what we need to start with, isn't it? The headline news, Cal. Spygate rumbles on, doesn't it? EFL hearing expected to kind of take place by Tuesday. We're recording on Monday. What are your thoughts on it as we stand here?
It's a joke. I just feel for all fans. Like, that's the main thing. Like, we're probably going to get into it a little bit more, especially players' side of things and preparing for a game. But them old fans that are paying for training and taking time off work and stuff, and game might change. It's pathetic.
It can't change, right?
I don't think no.
At this stage,
surely not. Because if they've got to compile all this evidence then from teams that surely had known earlier in the season. If you're asking teams to get evidence like Southampton spying on them, surely they'd have just felt, well, hold on, we'd have said it early, do you know what I mean, in season when it actually happened. I can't see them being able to find stuff. And then Southampton are going to lawyer up for it anyway, they'll appeal it. So what, we're going to play it in July? It could take ages for them to sort this out. No, I can't see it changing. And it shouldn't.
It feels like the game will take place as it kind of stands. Or do you want to run us through kind of where we're up to in terms of what's happened to get us to this point?
Yeah, of course. And so obviously, just before the first leg, of the playoff semi-final, Middlesbrough found a spy in their midst. Somebody had managed to go through a local golf course, find themselves into a position of advantageous position, shall we say.
Next to a tree.
Next to a tree with a little iPhone. Who knows what was actually going on, and I'm sure we'll hear that as the evidence comes through.
Maybe he was just watching the Sportsman Untitled.
He might have just been watching us, it makes a lot of sense. It's a fantastic podcast. Do make sure you see all of them. And, he could have been checking us out. And so it's really interesting for me. He apparently was live streaming this back to Southampton where they were able to watch Middlesbrough's training. Middlesbrough caught him. He ran off. So, you know you've done something wrong when you run off back through the golf course and change in secret to try and get away. And so the EFL have been obviously ruminating on this now for, 10 days? Just over a week? But it's too late. I just think there's no way that they can move the game or really change the circumstances of the game, because how do you move the game? We've got a World Cup final. We've got games taking place at Wembley the week after. There's just no opportunity. It also further disadvantages these teams. If you move this game, winning the playoffs already puts you at a bit of a disadvantage in squad building, in preparing for the season after. So I don't see how they can make any logistical changes to it. It feels as though the most likely punishment is a fine, maybe points deductions the next time Southampton are in the Championship, whether that's next season because they lose the final, or a future season on relegation from the Premier League. Yeah, it's a really difficult one. I feel so much for all of the fans, to be honest. It's not Southampton's fans' fault that they're going through this. It's not Hull fans' fault. Obviously, Middlesbrough fans have still got this hope in the back of the mind that could end up being crushed. It's just a really bad situation. And I think whoever on the coaching staff, if this is found to be true, obviously it's all allegations at the minute, but if it's found to be true, they're found guilty of this, I think whoever on the coaching staff at Southampton has to take a huge amount of responsibility. And to be honest, I just think they've got to sack Tom Eckert. I don't think there's any way of coming back from this. I think it's ridiculous that they've been allowed to take that going forwards. And yeah, it just makes a real mockery of the competition.
Would you go that far? Would you sack Eckert?
I mean, if he gets some up, they're not going to be bothered, are they, really? So, I mean, that's what it comes down to. I know if they have been spying on all these teams, then fair enough. But they've still got to go out there and do it every week. And they have done it. They've been one of the best sides. Well, they have been best side of division, haven't they, second half of the season.
Yeah, but is that easy because they've known what the other team's going to do every week?
Well, you could say that, but then Leeds were spying on Derby and lost. So, you know what I mean? Just because you're spying, there's probably loads of sides doing dodgy stuff. We only know about ones that have been caught.
It's definitely advantageous, though.
Yeah, 100%, but I still think Tom Eckert's done a really good job. I won't go that far as saying sacking him, but I think they'll sack that intern. That's attacking, isn't it? They'll get rid of him.
Yeah, but
poor guy.
That's the thing, though. Like, it's not the intern's obviously being told. If this is true and if he has gone ahead, the intern's been told to do this. There's no way on his own back he's paid for his own train to go halfway across the country to go and stand outside Middlesbrough's training ground. For what advantage? He's being told to do this by by a senior member of their coaching team, whoever that is. I just think there's got to be accountability. He's brought Southampton's reputation into disrepute. He's let down the fans. I know what you're saying. If they get promoted, does it matter? They might not care. But I just think there's got to be accountability at the top level of their coaching team for this. And I don't think their ownership, I don't think their fans will be particularly happy with what has happened the last 2 weeks. I was talking to some Southampton fans a couple of days ago, and they were saying it's spoiled any excitement for Wembley. It's taken all of their enjoyment out of this journey, out of this game. They almost just want to get it over with now and move on. And so I think they've got to do something. And I think sacking Eckert is the only way that they can actually move on from this, because otherwise the accusations are there as soon as they go on a good run next season. Let's say they get to the Premier League, you win your first couple of games and everyone goes, is there a question mark? It brings all of it into disrepute, and somebody's ultimately got to have the red on the chopping block. And I think it should be someone senior rather than an intern who's just probably followed the instructions he was given.
Yeah.
It's weird how it's come back to Eckert and he's kind of tried to absolve himself of all responsibility. It's like he must have known about these, and these are allegations, and we must say allegedly. Producer said wants me to say that. We will see what the EFL decide. Borough, by the way, they want them kicked out. They want sporting sanctions.
Of course they're going to. Do you know what I mean? And then people are probably going to start saying, well, hold on, why are Middlesbrough trying to get involved with this? Because they've got loads of stuff online. They did it with, when Wigan went into admin, like, just as a Barnsley fan, I can talk about this easily. Barnsley were at the hearing because they owed us money for one of us. They had one of our players and they owed us money. So it's like, of course we're going to be there.
Borough can't be there.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
They should be.
Of course they should. It's like being the prime witness and they can't go to their own hearing. It's a joke. I think they should be allowed. But ultimately, going back to it, I don't think they'll kick them out. And I think the right thing that they should do is make an example of them and give them like 20, 30 points next year.
But
that's what I'd say.
They can't do that if they win on Saturday.
No, exactly. But
which means they're not
going to stay up forever, are they? You know what I mean? They're not going to go up and then that's it. They'll never come down again. But you're just waiting for them. Wait for them to come down and you're getting a slap on bottom.
I just think there's got to be some cohesion between the Premier League and the Championship in the Football League. How can it be a case like with the Leicester case where they were like, we're not in the Premier League or the Championship?
There's different sets of rules going on. The gap between Premier League and Championship is stupid anyway, that they're not following the same sort of protocols with everything.
But it is English football. And it's like, if you've broken the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think I think there should be a big fine on the way and then a points deduction as soon as they can have it?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's got to be a big points deduction as soon as they can have it. I think it's got to be a big fine. The fine obviously can be implemented immediately, so you can immediately take that as an instant sanction. Big. I mean,
and who gets paid? Where does money go?
This is the other question, isn't it? Because whatever happens, and I think this is what makes this so difficult. If I was being brutally honest, what I thought was the right thing to do, I think Middlesbrough, they can argue they've been cheated, they can argue that it's not gone properly, but they lost on sporting merit ultimately. That second leg didn't come down to cheating, it came down to legs, and Southampton had more legs by the end of that game. So I think Middlesbrough probably lost that game, but I think Southampton should be punished. I think it should be sporting sanctions. My vote would be that you just promote Hull. I think that seems like the fairest way to go. Everybody else has been beaten deservedly on the pitch. This is now an issue for Southampton to take forward with the league. Hull are the only team who have earned their place into the playoff final, but there's no way we get rid of a playoff final. That's just not going to happen. It's not a realistic outcome, is it? Let's be honest. So I think you play the game as it stands. It's the fairest thing for the fans. A huge fine on Southampton, and I mean huge, millions, and then next time they're in the Championship, it's got to be a big points deduction.
If they're getting 100+ million from going up, though,
I know.
Whatever fine, even if it's a £10 million fine, which is mad, that's still not really a scratch on the surface, is it? Would you? I saw some talk on, I think it was Talk Sport, about them discussing whether the fine should go to Middlesbrough.
Yeah, but then you could say, well, they could go to Middlesbrough. Could it go to Hull if they beat them? Could it go to Wrexham who finish 7th instead of them? Could it go to every single team that's got evidence of spying on them? You just go forever with something like that. Like, I won't go as far as saying, like, take every penny that they make from broadcast revenue and Prem and give it to all these sides. I just think the fairest thing, like, fine's not going to do a great deal, but 30 points will. Yeah. Like, that will get them. Even you've got to be in title winning form to stay up. Yeah. That will get them sweating.
What do we make of Hull then, going into this final? I think they're like the underlying story here, Ollie, because I think they are almost suffering the most from this saga. And we're talking about sporting sanctions. They're not getting spied on, but they're also probably not be able to prepare in the right way. Even though it's Southampton as it stands, in 2 days' time, they could be playing Middlesbrough.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's completely unfair to Hull at this moment in time because their fans are being messed around, no fault of their own. They're not even involved in the conversation. They beat Southampton twice this season already. They're not worried about spying on us. Don't worry about it. We beat you twice. And so for them, there's no sporting impact that's had on them so far, but their fans are being messed around. How do you book travel? How do you book your hotels if you need to? 4:30 kick-off, isn't it, on Saturday? And so for them, it's a long journey home after the end of that game as well. So they might need hotels. So they're being hit on that side as fans financially. But on the pitch, how do you prepare for this game? Are you playing Southampton or are you playing Middlesbrough? Southampton know who their opposition are. If they're playing in the final, they know they're playing Hull. Middlesbrough know who their opposition are. If they somehow are playing in the final, they're playing against Hull. What do Hull prep for? Who do Hull play against? Do they have to make 2 tactical plans? Do they have to start thinking about, actually, this is what we do if it's Middlesbrough, this is what we do if it's Southampton? They are the team being most affected by this in their preparation, in their training, and they're probably the only truly independent party who aren't part of it. And so it feels completely unfair to me. I do feel as though Hull are almost a sideshow now in their own story. Their overachievement this season, the way that they've got to the playoff final, I've written them off at every single opportunity because of what I've seen in front of me, and yet they've continued to defy the odds, to perform well above their natural level. Jurkovic, argument for being manager of the season, and that's all overshadowed by this one huge story about Southampton, about their opponents. They become a sideshow in their own playoff final and their own journey. And yeah, I feel really sorry for Hull because they seem to be completely disproportionately affected by what's happening.
Absolutely. We're going to do some semi-final reflection. I should remind you guys, we are doing a live watch-along for the final, Saturday, 4:30. Myself, Callum Fowler is going to be here as well. Benjamin Bloom and Conor McGilligan all here for the big game, and we'll be taking in everything that happens. Hull versus whoever they end up playing. Let's talk about Southampton's semi-final win. You were here for this as well, Colin, for the live watch-along. Heartbreaking way to end for Borough, but ultimately Southampton probably deserved it over 2 legs. What do you reckon? The first half of the first leg was brutal.
Yeah, well, if Middlesbrough, it's story of the season though, isn't it? But if they could have finished the dinner at home, then they'd have walked it, do you know what I mean? But it's same as all season, they'd probably been close to you on points. If Middlesbrough had some decent forwards that could finish, then they'd have been in there anyway. I thought it was the second leg, I thought it was a game of minimal sort of quality anyway. I think the one thing that I think it's been overlooked how good the cross is from Charles, because it's just, you're asking a lot of Fry. If he's got to try and get a flick on that, it's going in his own net anyway. So it's just one bit of quality probably all game that did deserve a goal, if anything. I didn't think it were a 2-1 game, really. I thought it was quite poor, but that were only a bit of serious quality all game for me.
What about the couple of penalty shouts for Borough? There was the handball.
The handball one I thought was.
And even the kick, was it 3 minutes in or something? There was that kick which was caught.
Yeah, I weren't keen on that one.
No.
What were there were another one? Were there three?
I thought there were a couple of.
There were a lot.
There were plenty going down that game, weren't there, every time it went forward.
I thought they got done with handball, to be honest, but that's about it. I thought ref got a lot right.
Yeah, he was all right. What did you make of them, Oli, in general?
Yeah, certainly. I think I agree with what Cal said there. I think in terms of the actual second leg, I thought the quality was lacking. I think Borough, again, they've gone ahead, taken the lead. They'll probably, we're talking about the penalties, but what about, the foul from Stewart for the goal? There's very strong arguments to say that they should have been going in at half-time 1-0. Does that change the entire dynamic of this game? It probably does, because you saw Borough noticeably tire. I thought what they had up front, and, you say it's the story of the season, they couldn't finish the dinner. I thought in this game, there was a much bigger problem than that. Fundamentally, they could not hold the ball in attack. They had no way out. As soon as they tried to get out of their defence, Southampton just bullied them time and time
as
again.
Well, innit? That's the difference between them both. They had like Castledine, a midfielder, stood up front as the depth.
Rubbish.
And then you look at lads that Southampton are bringing off, even though they're cheating, allegedly, as well. They don't really need to, because they've got that much depth and quality on bench, and I thought that was different.
Who did they bring on? Edozie, Larin up front, and then...
Charles come off bench. Oh, no, Charles started.
Charles started. Downs came off the bench.
It's
massive names.
Cameron Archer and Tom Fellows didn't even get on the pitch.
Exactly. What and the Middlesbrough have got a midfielder at top end of pitch.
Yeah,
just chasing nothing balls.
15 minutes. That is the difference. And ultimately, we talk about parachute payments, we talk about squads, but that was the difference in this semi-final. In terms of what Tonda does, maybe we throw it forward to the final. You're laughing already.
Yeah,
is he still going to be in the dugout at Wembley?
It's a funny situation, isn't it? I mean, what does he do? Well, he's probably got less tactical information about his opponents than he has allegedly had in the past. I think...
let's talk about strikers. Does he think Ross Stewart ahead of Larin?
Yes, I think so. I think if you're looking at this game and you're looking at the performances, I think you're looking at what Hull have done in the semi-final in particular. You know, you're starting to think about when they had the back four, they really struggled against the big physical striker who was able to get on top of them. But they changed system. They really developed themselves so well to handle the physicality of Coburn against Millwall in the second leg. So you don't really want to put Larin into that same situation. I think Ross Stewart has got more to his game. I think you know that he is a goal scorer at this level. When he's fit, you can probably look at Southampton's form with the fitness of Ross Stewart, because he's an outstanding striker at the level. For me, if he's fit enough to play an hour, you've got to get him on the pitch to play an hour, because I just think he is the best option they've got up front. He can score numerous different ways, whether he's going to hurt you with a penalty box striker. You know, I saw at Bramall Lane this year, he just smashed one in the top corner from 20 yards effortlessly. He can do everything, and he's a big player for the big occasion. So I think he's got to start up front.
Absolutely. And we should talk about Hull as well, because, well, maybe Millwall first, because they just didn't get going really at all in the semi-final goal.
Yeah, I mean that just sums it up perfectly. They didn't turn up to either game really. They had the goal that were disallowed, didn't they, away? But I thought that was the right decision. That's really the only thing you talk about with Millwall. They were poor. To see how close they were as well. They finished a point behind Ipswich, and they just didn't turn up in either leg. But a lot of it, obviously, is down to Hull and how good they are. They're really good without ball. I thought they look a little bit like we're saying in first leg, but second leg again, they were a better side definitely, especially in second half.
Yeah, and Balumi came off the bench, replacing.
It's class.
It was one of those things, wasn't it? And I think it was Ben who said it on the live stream. He was like, sometimes these things happen where Joseph's gone off injured, and Balumi comes on and goal and assist, and that goal, unbelievable.
It was such a good goal. It was one of those moments where you watched it and you were like, what a finish that is. Because from the position that he's in, he's got no right to score from there. It's just an absolutely wonderful finish. And he made a huge impact on this game. And actually, you know, we've talked a lot about Hull this season. I've spent a lot of time talking about them, particularly in terms of the data, the sort of underlying XG that really stands against them in terms of the chances that they give up. But I thought what we saw from them against Millwall was just so efficient. They just gave nothing away. They really looked as though they looked so comfortable in that back five formation that they used in the second leg. They'd identified the issues that they had in the first leg. Yes, Millwall never really dominated them, but Coburn had a fantastic performance, particularly second half in the first leg. Jurkovic learnt from that, adapted to it, made sure they were better to go against it the second time. And he's a manager who has continued to do that through the season, find solutions where they've previously had problems. And so I'm really interested in how they're going to approach this one. I think it's going to be so interesting if Balumi does get the nod from the start. You know, you look at him as your match winner, you say, right, 90 minutes, can you do it again? Or do you say it was effective last time? You know, we know that Joseph can't play, but could Gelhardt come in, play in that similar position? You know the danger he's got as a goal scorer, as a finisher. He could then run you for 45 minutes, an hour, and you've got Balumi again against tired legs. Maybe Southampton have to make a change the way that Millwall did, and so you've got him against somebody who's not at the pace of the game. It's going to be really interesting what they do with that front line, because it's so effective and they can hurt you in so many different ways. I think Miller and McBurney, you know they're going to be on the pitch, but Balumi, for me, he's the match winner. But is he going to be the match winner from the start, or is he coming on later against tired legs? There's a decision to be made there.
Interesting point, that, Cal. Start him or leave him on the bench. I like the tactic of holding him back.
I do what they've done last couple of legs because it's worked. Yeah. To be honest, I'd bring Balumi off.
Yeah, would you go back five like you did at the Den, or back four like you go back five?
Go back five. It was so brilliant. Good. Yeah, they were so, like you're saying, they were so efficient. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk as well. You know about now Coventry have gone up and Lampard potentially like leaving if you can keep him. They'll have a job on keeping him, even if they go up. He's been a very good manager.
He's been ridiculous, hasn't he? Like where we were talking about Hull at the start of the season.
Yeah, it's all context, isn't it? Like, and they brought some really good players in, and even ones that are there. Like Hughes is still a cracking player. Midfielders are good. They've still got some players there. But they are in a transfer embargo, and you can't ignore it. Like, he's done such a good job.
I think what's so impressive as well with that recruitment that they did over the summer is how much experience they brought into what was predominantly a young squad. You know, they'd done all of their sort of spending budgets, and when they'd done for transfers in the previous few years, building a really young, exciting squad. Players like Balumi, who struggled with injuries, players like Hughes, taking a gamble on him coming out of Wigan. And so you then looked at what do they do to supplant that this summer. They brought in players like John Egan, Oli McBurney, leadership through the centre of their team who know how to get promoted from the Championship, who've given them that extra steel when they've needed it in really crucial moments. And it's been so impressive to see. It's a real success story. I know that people will be saying, well, you know, we've just talked about Southampton cheating. There's a reason that Hull are in a transfer embargo. There's a reason they've had to do this business so efficiently. But that doesn't change the fact they got almost all of the big transfer decisions right this summer, and it's culminated in a fantastic opportunity to get themselves into the Premier League.
You say the word steal there, and that is the main word I associate with. Like even like Crooks and Slater and stuff in midfield, like unfashionable players, Cal, but they're good Championship players who can just fight and battle and win these games that we saw in Millwall, which kind of fine margins. And that makes me think that can they do it in the final? Looking ahead to it. Won't get your score predictions yet. Save them to the end of the show.
I'm surprised with odds. They've gone very heavy Southampton, aren't they? Do you want to read them out?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, nice little link there.
There you go.
Hull with Betfred 7-2 to win in 90 minutes. A draw is 23-10. Southampton 9-10 to get the job done in normal time.
But it's very it's two very contrasting styles in the end of the day. But it suits all. Did they do a moment away in division?
Yeah, they did twice.
Exactly. Like, no, was it last time that Southampton actually lost?
Last team.
January, yeah.
So
The
that's
last
what I mean.
team to beat Southampton.
Again, Djurkovic is a very good manager, but you're looking at a side that's so good without ball versus one that's really good with it. So they're both going to get the same sort of game that they want. But all have proven against them, obviously, home and away in division. They proved it against Millwall, another side that wants to do the same thing that Hull want to do. It's going to be a good game. I'm feeling a little bit drawy.
I think there could be extra time in this one. I just look at Hull and I think I don't see Southampton hammering them
no way.
or breaking them apart, even with all their attacking quality. I just thought Cienza was a bit disappointing in the both semi-finals. Am I allowed to be a bit critical of him?
No, I think it's fair. I think he didn't quite hit the heights that maybe we would have expected it from him. I think particularly in that second leg, obviously really hampered by the injury that he picked up. He got that knocked, didn't he, early on? And
kept
so
playing for some...
I was like, just go off, mate. Like you've got Tom Fellows on the bench. You've got so many subs to bring on. Just go off, rather than obviously taking on that opportunity. But that just shows his fight. He wants to be there delivering for this Southampton team. He's an outstanding footballer, and he can be the difference maker in games like this. You know, he didn't bring it in the semi-final. Is that because he's saving it for the final? Maybe it is, but it's going to be a really interesting game. I'm with you, Cal. I really like the draw in this one. I actually like a score draw. I think I'd be looking at something like a 2-2. I think the way that Hull...
A Championship playoff final with 4 goals.
I know, tell me about it. This never happens. And yet, if any teams were going to do it, it's these two. You know, look back over the season, look at the goals for, look at the goals against. These two teams are right at the top of both those tables because they're so vulnerable to some of those transitions at times. You know, they're teams who do give up chances occasionally. Hull really locked it down these last 3 or 4 weeks, reacting to their poor form at the end of the season, but there's always a chance that they open up a game. We saw how effective they can be in transition, using the pace of Miller, using the strength and sort of the hold-up play of McBurney. I think that's exactly what they'll want to do, and I think there's goals in this for both teams. I think Southampton will overcommit, get hurt behind by Hull, and then it's just whether or not they can get back in. Yeah, I think the score draw is where I'd be looking at.
You get me very excited for this final. A nice little warm-up there. We'll be live from 4 p.m. on Saturday, by the way. Myself, Callum Fowler, Conor McGilligan and Benjamin Bloom. Looking forward to that one. We've talked a little bit about managers, Cal. Who do you think wins the tactical battle out of these two? Tough one.
I'm going for a draw, so... but
yeah, you can't go for a draw the whole game.
Probably Djurkovic, maybe, but mainly because, again, the Millwall situation. Obviously, Southampton have got that many incredible players that how much can you actually put on Tonda Eckert in a situation like that? Hull, especially against Millwall, going back to it again, they finished a point of going up. If they'd have bet Leicester, who were basically down at that point, they'd have gone up. So I know it's Millwall's own doing as well, but he's outsmarted a manager in Alex Neil who's done it before, who's done a really good job this season. I would lean with Djurkovic, maybe getting better him. And he did it in second half against Millwall, especially tweak some stuff around, and that's when they look the best.
I just get concerned with, and we've talked about the squad depth, I think Eckert's really good at second half subs. I know it's easy when you've got Cameron Archer and Larin and Tom Fellows sitting there to go, oh yeah lads, go warm up, get on. But that feels like quite a big factor in this one. Hot day maybe expected on this Wembley pitch as well.
Exactly that, and it can be absolutely huge when you look at the sort of depth. And when, actually, go back to last season, Sheffield United against Sunderland for 60 minutes. Sheffield United, much the better team, well on top. Some people would say probably should have had the game out of sight by that point. But the depth that Sunderland brought off the bench, Eliza Mayenda, some of the players they were able to bring into the game changed it. And ultimately, I'm not going to cry, am I?
I was just looking at the scars.
But they changed the game for them. You could easily see that happening again with Hull maybe ahead at the 60-minute mark, and then the subs come, and how does that change the dynamics of this game? Because Southampton have such a deep bench. All 7 players that they have sat there waiting to come on, all of them could be match winners. All of them will be amongst the top 50 players in the division in terms of looking at the quality that they've got there. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting how it changes through the afternoon. Coming to the question before, though, I think there is a scenario in which Djurkovic wins that tactical battle but loses the game anyway. You know, there is every chance that he nullifies Southampton's threats, that he gets the maximum out of the whole team, that he gets that sort of transition point perfectly, but that the quality of the sort of talent that Southampton have got just plays out on the day. So it's going to be really interesting how this one sort of works its way through. And yeah, the depth off the bench could be huge.
We're going to keep Brighton Hull off. Can we stop Brighton Hull off? I'm looking mainly at Ollie's direction for the whole season. I think we've now reached a point where it's like they've got a real chance, girl.
Of course they have. And I think probably maybe it's more, I want them to win rather than think they will. But I think a lot of people are going Hull on this. But Southampton, again, I don't want to write them off. I want Hull to win. But like Southampton were there earlier in the season against Man City. They've been there, well. Same side as well. They are the better side as well, ultimately. Yeah. They finished higher up, they've got the better players. I do think Southampton might edge.
It's the underdog story, isn't it? Or back in the underdog, and then the Spygate comes into it as well.
Yeah, it's head and heart. That's the trouble with this one. You've got your head against your heart, because your head tells you that you've got a team who's 21 games unbeaten, beat Arsenal, push Man City right to their limit, arguably the best team in the Championship throughout 2026 so far. They've been outstanding week after week and maintained a level that lots of people just did not see coming during that 21 game run. So they've got your head there telling you the better team usually wins a game of football like this, particularly with the talent they've got, and it leans you to Southampton. But your heart's there and it's saying, do we want to reward the alleged cheating? Do we want the team who have just got parachute money and depth and players coming out the wazoo? Like, do you want that to be what goes? And no, you don't. You sort of sat here and I'm like, the Tigers, because you want Hull to do this underdog story. My head and my heart meet in the middle, and I do genuinely believe that we're in for a long afternoon, and I am going on the draw. I think that seems to me to be where this one goes. Do I think that Southampton are rightly favourites? Of course they are. We've seen what they can do, but playoff finals don't always go to the favourites. Trust me, I know.
Hold your horses on your score predictions. We will bring you our score predictions at the end of the show. But first, I want to talk about some other news in the Championship, really. Cal, there's new financial rules in place now. Do you want to talk us through what you think of them?
I like them, personally.
Sorry, let me run through what they are first.
Yeah.
It's 85% of a club's spending, basically, which can be now spent. It's to replace PSR. It's called SCR.
Yeah.
And it's 85% of club revenue.
Plus 10 million in it.
Yeah.
So owners can still... So it definitely benefits like the really, really big sides. This isn't Championship, but they have changed stuff in League 1 and 2 as well. Not to that level, but I think it's gone down from like 75 to 65% maybe that you can spend. It's still come down. It needs to happen. Like, I know we're looking at like the sporting side of things mainly and thinking, well, hold on, it really benefits like Wolves and like West Ham maybe if they come down. But they spend loads of money anyway. Like, they don't need an excuse. Like, they already spend loads and loads of money. I think this means that hopefully you're going to get Stoke and Hull and Cardiff not losing £40 million a year to do note. Then you don't have hopefully you don't have as many Wednesdays going on and Readings and derbies. You've got to think about having a club to support first and foremost. And I think it's really, really good because it stops teams from having really crap sort of years in a row. Maybe like Stoke really is an example. Someone that's got ridiculously wealthy owners, a crap in transfer window consistently, but you can just lose 40 million quid and go, oh, right, it's fine, we'll do it again next year, we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
And instead of it being about whose owner's willing to lose most money, it becomes about who can run the club best. I think it's really good.
I think it's a really good change. It also stops clubs spending stupid money on players like, I don't know, for example, Calvin Phillips maybe sitting on a bench all week. Sheffield United are going to be pretty impacted by this, Ollie, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the timing of this for Sheffield United, as much as anything else, is one of the really damaging aspects of it. Obviously, this is the summer where our parachute payments have run out. Under the old PSR rules, we were really comfortable because we'd had a positive balance over the last couple of seasons, and so we had so much wiggle room in there in terms of using this summer, maybe with a little bit of owner-backed funding, to try and rebuild a squad that clearly isn't good enough, a squad that has really let us down this season. We needed a huge project, a huge opportunity to go again to try and attack the Championship next year. Then these rules come in and it completely takes the legs out from under us. I think we're going to have to do cost-cutting exercises. I think if you look at our current wage budget, it's already significantly over what our 85% would look like. I think we're going to have to cut a lot of money. So obviously, what does that mean for us in the short term? It makes it really challenging. But I think there's two sides to this argument, and I think it's the same with the Premier League rules. And what you look at is, I think Cal makes a fantastic point. When you look at the sustainability of football, having a team there to support, do we want to take the risk of Sheffield Wednesdays happening? Do I, you see the impact of that across the city. I've got friends who work at Sheffield Wednesday who weren't paid. You've got sort of fans who are supporting the club who just feel completely disengaged from the entire football team, and you never want to see that. It is horrible, and you have to safeguard against those kind of things being able to happen. It's not fair, and the people around those clubs deserve a club to support. Do I like Wednesday? No. Do I think that my friends deserve a team to support? I suppose I'll let them. But you've got to safeguard against these issues. One of the other questions, though, is, of course, what does it do to the competitive balance of the division? And I think that's one of the areas that I struggle with in all of these kind of rules, because parachute payments have always been a huge asset, but now they're even more so. You know, you look at how much money the parachute teams are going to get. Their 85% will be stratospheric compared to the other teams in this division.
Do you know who else it'll be big for? And 20 out of 24 clubs voted for this, by the way. Birmingham and Wrexham.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at their revenue and the amount of money they can make and then spend, but I guess, Cal,
Good.
they're going to spend anyway, aren't they?
Well, not only that, but why shouldn't, if they're making money properly, they're not just writing loads of runners losses off. Yeah, well, maybe something to. Birmingham's might be a little bit dodgy, but they're pushing it through smart ways of making money rather than just going, hold on, we don't care how we make it because we're just going to write it all off because we're billionaires. I think that's ridiculous that, like, we're looking at them and thinking that that's a bad thing. I do think, though, this needs to be implemented with, like, a couple different things as well. Again, going back earlier, talk about the gap between Premier League and Championship. They just signed biggest deal ever in Premier League. That money needs to be different rather than Premier League's getting 150 mil and Championship get 10. Yeah. Like, that's ridiculous. League One gets 2. Like, it's stupid, the sort of gaps between that. I think there should be a wage cap as well. I know, like, Barnsley and Portsmouth are like big pushers of this, but I think all the League One sort of went to EFL and tried to introduce a wage cap, and they said no. Like, the needs to be a lot of different things falling in place at once to make it completely sort of fine. And you're going to get short-term crap stuff like this with parachute payment teams. But I think long-term, this is really good.
I think it's really good. I agree with you on a wage cap, by the way, especially in League Two and League
Needs
One
to,
and stuff.
100%.
It just needs to happen. A few notable free agents to come out this week, guys. If I could get your thoughts on a few of these. Jeb Wallace, Daryl DK, Callum Elder, Andy Vyman, Jamie Allen, Connor Chaplin, Lewis Baker. Any of them catching your eyes for a decent Championship move? I mean,
I think a lot are going to League One.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Connor Chaplin?
I think Connor Chaplin stays in the Championship. Yes. I think absolutely there's an opportunity
Wallace,
there.
Definitely. Daryl DK, definitely.
Daryl DK will go back to America.
Daryl DK, it's about his injury record, isn't it? Like, how much money are you willing to gamble on Daryl DK if you're not certain?
If you get the Sheffield United board, mate.
If you get the Barnsley Daryl DK, though, then you're laughing, aren't you? If you get what he wore at us.
Yeah,
but like, I think Jed Wallace is going to League One.
Really?
Of course, his age now, what money is on. I think Callum Elder does. I think Jamie Allen does. I think out of that list, generally, I could see Chaplin, and that's maybe it. That'd stop in Champ. I think DK go back to America and a lot of them go League One.
Fair enough. I think there's a real question mark. It's about what the wage demands are going to look like and how these teams are going to look at. I think players like Lewis Baker, for example, for his leadership opportunities, for the fact that, he's still a dead ball specialist, he's still so talented in terms of what he can do with the football. There's an opportunity there for them to stay in the Championship, but it's whether or not they're willing to take the hits.
And with these rules coming in as well.
With these rules coming in, how much money are you willing to throw at a Lewis Baker? Well, you've not got that much, and he's going to be being paid a wedge at Stoke. Catler's already covered their kind of financial position, shall we say, in terms of what they've done in the past. So for me, it's not so much about the talent, because all of these players have got different things to offer that could still offer at Championship level. The question is, what does the wage bill look like? And if you're a Championship team, are you willing to throw decent money at players over 30, already coming to an end of their sort of time in the Championship? Players like Andy Vyman, who's not quite hit the heights for the last 2-3 seasons. I think it'd be a big risk on a lot of these names, but I think Connor Chaplin in particular, he's definitely staying in the Championship.
This is why wage thing's good, though, because someone like just as Sheffield United, for example, could just go and pick all them up, put them in reserves, and it won't really mean anything. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to be smart with your money and where you're going to put it now, rather than just going, oh yeah, we'll have Jamie Allen, Dan McNamara, Callum Elton, we'll have them all on 10 grand a week each and not play any of them, just have them in squad in case. You've got to be smart with your money now. I like it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out next season. Right, we need to bring things back round to the Championship playoff final on Saturday. First of all, get in the comments down below. Let us know what you think of the new financial rules and if you want any of the free agents I've just named at your club. But lads, Saturday afternoon, we've all kind of leaned towards a draw. Cal, talk us through how the afternoon's going to pan out.
I think Southampton will dominate, I do. But that suits Hull. They did it in league. They did it up at like Middlesbrough. They've done it a few times away at Portsmouth. Hull are really good at getting battered and winning. Yeah. So I think it's going to suit them both, but I think it'll go to extra time. Ultimately, I could see it doing what Southampton have done its second leg. I think Southampton winning extra time. 2-1.
2-1. Who's getting the winner?
Larry off bench.
The ultimate pantomime villain, Harwood Bellis. Shoveling the ball in.
I've got him getting booked, though.
You're going to go with heart or head?
Gut. My gut's talking to me on this one. I'm going to say I think Cal's right. I think, when you look at the ball and you look at dominance in the game, you're going to talk about Southampton having 65% plus possession. I think they're going to really dominate the afternoon in terms of dictating the tempo of the game. I think they are probably going to be a team who create a decent amount of XG, but I think Hull hurt them, and I think they hurt them early. And I think Hull take the lead in this one. I'm going to go 2-2, Hull on pens.
Oh,
I would love that.
I hope that's right. I hope Hull win.
That. To bring some balance, I think I'll go for a very straightforward Southampton win in 90 minutes.
Yeah, about
Sorry,
3-0.
Hull. If they score early, imagine if they're like 2-0 up at half time. It'd just be the
I can't see that,
flattest
though.
Championship. Yeah.
That'd be boring, mate.
That would be boring, wouldn't it? I'm going to go 1-0 Hull. Yeah, come on, Hull. Up the Tigers. We all want a Hull win, right? Let's
I
be
want a Hull win,
biased here,
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll see what happens to Tonda Eckert. You think he should get sacked?
I think he's going to get sacked regardless. Win, lose, draw. I think he gets
Really?
sacked. Yeah.
When? Like immediately after full
I
time?
think as soon as the Spygate is concluded, we find out what the punishment's going to look like. Maybe Southampton have an appeal. Whatever that does, I think we get through the playoff final, and within 2 weeks he's sired. Oh God, fired or sacked, one or the other. Sired.
Good mixture. There is Mystic Ollie. We'll have to wait and see if that one comes true. Thank you both for joining me on today's playoff final. As I mentioned, was that high five? There you go. As I mentioned, we will be back with a playoff final live stream. Myself and Callum, along with Colin McGilligan and Ben Bloom. Please do join us from 4 p.m. here on the Sportsman Untitled on YouTube. We'll do half an hour of build up before watching the big game. We'll answer your questions in the live chat as well. Like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on Monday.